AIM-listed ECR Minerals is developing two prime gold exploration assets at Ballarat and Kreek in Australia's Victoria goldfields. It also has license applications in for several other gold assets in Australia, along with a 25% stake in a gold asset in the Philippines. In the middle of two intensive drilling campaigns, the company has recently made 3 strategic property acquisitions within its prime license territories in Victoria. I'm joined today by Craig Brown, CEO, to tell us all about it. Hi, Craig. Good to see you again.
Hi, Alan. Thank you for having me on.
A pleasure. Good to see you back. So before we talk about the latest property acquisitions, can you provide us with an update on drilling progress? If we start off firstly at the Ballarat license area, which of course includes HR3 and HR4, or better known as Cherry Tree.
Yes, well, within Ballarat there's a number of areas, which includes, of course, Black Cat, the Ballarat Mine, the Cherry Tree, Blue Moon. So, we've kind of got 4 main areas to focus on. So they're projects within the actual Ballarat license itself. And, we've done drilling on all of them now. So, we've only been diamond drilling on around the Ballarat Mine and also on Cherry Tree, but we did a small RAB program on Black Cat, which we need to follow up on, and we did both diamond and RC drilling at Blue Moon, and we wish to continue down there. To date, with our diamond rig, we've drilled a total of 16 holes in the Ballarat license. That's since January this year when we started drilling, and so we've drilled 8 of them around the Ballarat head and 8 around Cherry Tree. And as of today, we were on our 8th hole at Cherry Tree, and we're down 116.6 meters at the end of close today.
Excellent. So on to Kreek. Your head geologist, Adam Jones, was very bullish about the mineral shoots that the drill team had discovered at Kreek. Can you elaborate on this?
Yes, well, Adam's a member of our board of directors, but our chief geologist is actually Christy. So Adam's our geologist and on our board of directors, but he also does work for 2 other mining companies, exploration mining companies in Victoria. He's very bullish on Kreek because a lot of the market don't seem to understand that we're drilling across the mineralization rather than vertically down it. So the grades which we're looking at are true grades. We've just finished hole 13 at Kreek, and we're having a bit of a break from continuing to drill at Kreek, and we're moving on to bring that drill rig up to Ballarat, where we've actually had more sites approved. So we've just got approval from the Native Heritage approval from the Tarawong, which are the local Aboriginal tribe, and we're just waiting on the Mines Department within the Department of Economic Development to give their approval, and that rig will start drilling there. So certainly we have a lot more to do. Having said that, we're still continuing with the exploration work at Kreek, and we're doing soil sampling, and there's a large area which we currently have in the existing license, which has already been granted, and we've done no soil sampling practically to date. We did some rock chip sampling, but now we're going through and doing soil sampling, and we did discover a few nuggets or Adam picked up a few nuggets when we were doing the soil sampling, and so we want to we just want to see the overall area, because we've actually found that a lot of the veins are outside the Dimmock's main shell, which was where Rodney predicted where the most of the mineralization would be. And so we've picked up that there's quite a few veins outside that area. So we want to do more work by initially doing soil sampling, geochem analysis, sending them off to the laboratory. We've covered over, well, it must be almost completed Ballarat as far as soil sampling is concerned, but we've still got a lot more work to do over Kreek. So that's what we're working on at the moment. So, it's all go, and the gold is definitely there. The gold's at Ballarat, the gold's at Cherry Tree. Everywhere we go, we find gold. So Central Victoria is the right location to be in, and certainly there's a gold rush on throughout all of Victoria. I mean, you can hardly find an area to peg in the entire state. So it's very positive, and we've got a little jar of nuggets already out of Kreek, which are sitting in our safe or locked away in a drawer. So we've certainly been picking up the gold, and we initially got nuggets from the whole bag testing, but we've got more recently as well. So very positive.
Excellent, excellent. So, of course, you've taken the next step and you've acquired 3 strategic properties. Well, you've made 3 strategic acquisitions of land and property. Firstly, you've got 297 acres at Baillieston near to Cherry Tree, then 16 acres within your 45-acre licensed territory at Kreek. And yesterday, you announced you'd acquired 59 acres and accommodation at Sebastian, which of course is midway between Baillieston and Kreek, just outside Bendigo. Can you tell us how you're going to use these property and land acquisitions?
Okay, let me start with the first, with the property at Nagambie. That's actually within our licensed area, 297 acres, and it's not swamp. There is a lot of swampland there, and this is decent solid ground, and so certainly we haven't got to clear a swamp to be able to actually start any work there. But the idea is we'll do some sterilization drilling first of all. So we'll put a RAB rig on and make sure wherever we do erect any foundations or property that we've got an area to work from, and there's not a gold mine underneath it. I've worked in a number of companies which have built plants, developed gold mines, or put their waste pile on top of an area which they later discovered to contain gold underneath it. So so it creates a lot of work to move it, or otherwise it's just uneconomic to move it all. So we'll drill the area first. We'll carry out exploration on the area, and we'll drill with a RAB rig, which we haven't got at the moment, down to about the first 100 meters. And then if we don't find anything in the first 100 meters in the areas where we want to construct something, then if there is anything deeper, then obviously it can be mined by underground mining. So the idea of that 297 acres is that we can erect buildings, and there'll be temporary buildings to begin with on probably bricks or concrete blocks, which can be moved around easily enough if we want to change the location of them. So that will provide accommodation for our drillers who are working out in the Baillieston area. And in addition, that this property gives us an area which we could build a tailings dam, a plant, and go the whole way with. And so when you own the land, we can carry exploration out on it, but also we can, it gives us facilities that we can potentially, when we do go to building a plant, that we've got facilities to produce either a concentrate or go all the way and produce a doré bar. And the last 3 companies I've worked in, the last one they actually went through and produced refined gold, but the 2 previous companies we produced doré bars and had them refined locally and then shipped off for export. So it's great. So by owning the land, it gives us a lot more security that nobody can kick us off, and we've got no dispute with landowners. And also it gives us a facility that for accommodation, for a laboratory, for our cooking facilities. Potentially we could have a site office, and then it gives us an area that we could build a tailings dam and plant. So it's fantastic that we've acquired this property. The second property down at Kreek, the 16 acres, was actually divided in over 3 different titles, but it's got 2 main titles, and it's got a title covering the Kreek as well. And it was going to be sold off as residential land, and instead we purchased it, and we want to fence the entire outside of the property. We got a quote from a fencing contract, and they wanted $395,000 to fence it, but we'll be able to do it ourselves for Australian dollars, but considerably lower amount ourselves. And we've just bought a 8-ton excavator, which was $124,000 and fully paid for. And we're awaiting delivery any day on that. It's coming out of the Melbourne. And then we'll start building fences around the outside of that property. So we'll do 2 layers of fencing with a gap in between, and we'll put up some security cameras. Maybe that's why it was so expensive. And everything which comes out of the ground we'll process, and which we're working on at the moment, possibly through a small pilot plant. And then the next thing we want to work on after that is that we know that there is gold mineralization in that area. It wasn't economic enough to build a mine on, but within that 18 acres, we will take whatever's close to surface and process it through a plant. And then we will build a decline, and potentially the majority of Kreek is on forestry land. And the issue is that in order to minimize the environmental impact, they prefer you to underground mine rather than mine from surface. And so the start of a decline can be from Kreek going through. And rather than the conventional mining method, what we'll do is we'll actually just mine the mineralized veins and go straight along them, which is what they do at Costerfield. And it's the way the Chinese would work, and a lot of mines around the world. But it's not a conventional Western way of mining. But because we're talking about narrow veins of about, a meter wide, 0.95, 95 centimeters wide, we'll just mine directly down those veins. We might have to take a little bit extra out. And hopefully we can use paste to go back in and refill the area when we take the tailings out, mix it with cement, put it back in. Maybe we might need a little bit of coarser material to go with it, and then fill it in. And so then we can go down to the next level, and we can vertically go all the way down. And as we know from Fosterville, they've gone down to 900 odd meters. They're mining it below surface.
Okay. And of course, Ballarat's an underground mine too, isn't it? Which is nearby also.
Correct. Yes, and they're mining. The grades dropped at Ballarat, but they were mining, 24 gram per ton average grade material. Now they've gone to about 8 grams per ton. But it's just a matter as the way that the grade fluctuates. But we're quite lucky that the gold does seem to be fairly continuous within these chutes. Now the width of the chutes, we've still got some more work to determine on, and we've got a new RC drill which will hopefully produce a resource as soon as we get in there, because you'll drill 3 or 4 times more in a day with RC drilling than you will with diamond drilling. So, you can probably get 250 meters a day as long as you're going well. And the RC rig we've got will drill 1,000 meters HQ, which is a fairly substantial sized hole. And as long as we get a big enough compressor, we should be able to go down 800 meters doing RC drilling as well.
Excellent. And on to the last property, Bassett Road. Tell us about that.
Well, we purchased Festive Road because we were spending over $2,000 a week on accommodation, and that's at this time when you've got lockdown in Victoria, and on accommodation you've got lockdown in Victoria, you've got and no holiday guests. And the problem is that if you come to the summer period, which starts from about the second week of December through till the school starts back at the beginning of February, during that period, holiday accommodation prices rise, and you might pay $60 for a cheap, horrible motel at this time of the year, but at that time of the year, you can pay up to $250 Australian a night, or otherwise there's accommodation not available. So accommodation costs substantially rise, and will at least double or triple during that period. So by buying this property, it gives us all year round accommodation. Currently, it's divided into 5 bedrooms, a study, and 3 living areas. We're going to convert it so we've got a study, which is also a bedroom, and there are 5 double bedrooms, and we've got 2 bathrooms, and there's a separate bathroom and an ensuite. But we'll have an extra ensuite, so we'll have 7 bedrooms with an office and 2 living facilities, which is a room where they can watch TV, and we've got decent cooking facilities. It's a beautiful house. It was only built about 10 years ago.
I've got a picture of it here, actually, Craig. I'll just bring the slide up. You can talk us through it.
Well, if you had a plan view of it, you'd be able to see that it's quite a substantial property, and with 59 acres divided on 3 titles, I mean, we're talking about £485,000. I mean, you certainly won't be able to buy a property. You'd be lucky to get a 1-bedroom flat in some parts of London for that amount, or not even a 1-bedroom flat. So, it's a substantial property with 59 acres on 3 titles. The purpose of it is that we will also add we want to build a shed out the back, and we want to divide it into potentially 3 areas. We're looking at about 1,000 square meter space. Currently, our facilities in Eaglehawk, which is a suburb of Bendigo, consists of a 60 square meter office and a 200 square meter shed. We were looking at 1,000 square meter shed on this property. It is subject to planning approval, but we want to use that shed for multiple reasons. One is core storage, and sample storage, because we're getting a lot of samples out of all the soil sampling process. Rock chip sampling. We've got samples galore piled up everywhere. We've got core laying on the ground outside here at the moment. We've actually had possession of this property for a while before we finally settled, but it just took a delay getting a few final issues sorted out in the power supply agreement to obtain power off the grid, though we're hoping that we won't actually need it. There is a solar turbine out the back. We've got a small diesel generator out there, and we've also got a small solar panel on the roof, and that should be sufficient to supply all the panels, the power which we want. There was a workshop nearby, and they were a full mechanical workshop, and they had enough power coming out of their solar panels on the roof to run grinders, drills, welding machines, everything. So they could run 3-phase power off the grid, off solar power. So if we put up a shed there, we're going to have a shed for both core storage and core processing facilities, and the sample storage, also the warehouse, as far as we've got drilling rods, drilling equipment, all the drilling supplies, spare parts for all our trucks and our vehicles. I mean, we've now got 4 four-wheel drive vehicles, 2 trucks, including a sludge truck, a truck with a crane on the back, and 2 drill rigs, one which is still on its way from China. And we're looking to buy another little drill rig. We've got an excavator, as I just said, which we're waiting on delivery for. So, we've got a lot of equipment. It takes quite a lot of time maintaining that equipment, doing the servicing, changing the oils and getting everything sorted out. So that's why we need a workshop. And then, certainly storage, mechanical workshop, as well as a core store and a potential processing facility.
Excellent. Well, you've mentioned the nuggets already at Kreek. You must be very confident that gold is at both locations to make these the investments into property in the area.
Yes, certainly. There is definitely gold at in every location where we've worked. And our next step is getting the drilling results into a resource and actually announcing a resource. And we have a consultant who's lined up to do some work for us. Resource consultants are extremely hard to come by at the moment. We currently have 3 geologists working for us, and we have another one starting on the 7th of October, a new exploration manager. And we've got quite a staff in the core shed, quite a team of drillers, and quite honestly, we can't keep up with the work and the results coming through. But we do hope to release some drilling results very soon.
Excellent. Okay, so on to the other assets owned by the company. You've licensed applications submitted in North Queensland at the Lulworth Range, where historically you had Charters Tower, you had Ravenswood, Mount Leishon, and Mount Wright gold mines, which separately have produced millions of ounces of gold. What sort of timescale are we looking at the Lulworth Range there, Kreek?
Well, Charters Towers alone produced about 6 million ounces of gold, but in total, there's over 20 million ounces of gold either in the ground or being produced in that area. So we're very confident with those projects up there. We've got the approvals for that we're a suitable company to get the licenses. We've got approvals that we have the technical expertise, that we passed the first line of environmental procedures. We submitted an exploration plan which has been approved, and now the properties were advertised, and we're just waiting. They're advertised, and there was 4 months for anybody to object, and we're just waiting for the 4 months. I think it should have come to an end by now, or it will be soon. And then as soon as that happens, as long as we don't get any objections, if there are objections, we have to deal with them. If there aren't any objections, then we can go on and get those licenses issued and start doing work up there. And this is a slightly different terrain to Victoria. I mean, you are in the middle of literally the desert, so to speak, and you've got snakes and everything else all around you, and you haven't got proper roads in place. So there are roads fairly nearby. So a lot of our initial exploration work, we were thinking of doing an airborne geophysics survey to identify areas of interest. And we know there's tin on the property as well as gold. And we were thinking that we'd use ATVs to access the property, put geologists and field workers on the ATVs to go and do soil sampling, and then identify the key areas where we want to do most of the work. So we're very positive about that area. And since we pegged those 3 licenses, which is thanks to Adam Jones, we certainly have had a lot more interest in other companies doing pegging around the area. So, thanks to Adam, things have seemed to be really flourishing up there.
Excellent. And on to the Philippines. ECR has received a lot of coverage in the Dangley regional press in the Philippines this week for participating in a food relief program. Can you tell us about that food relief program and also about ECR's 25% stake in the Dangley Gold Project?
Well, the 25% stake in the Dangley Gold Project was approved by the board of Cordillera Tiger back in 2017 twice. It was also reaffirmed recently. And there are 3 directors on the board of the Philippines, all local Filipinos, and they're certainly very supportive of ECR, and we're spending the money, and it's been reconfirmed. Unfortunately, some of the permits, etc., in the Philippines had expired or out of date, so we've had to renew those permits and licenses, and I've just been told one's come through again today, the BIR, or Business Investor Permit or something, that's been approved today, and now we're waiting for the one permit it's been completed, and all of our accounts have been filed for Cordillera Tiger. However, the part of the permit was some of the filing fees hadn't been paid, so that will be done this week. Because there is a lockdown in parts of the Philippines, and especially around the Baguette province, which is where Baguio is the capital city, and Dangley is situated about an hour and a half out of Baguio. There are some restrictions getting into that province, and they do have the Delta variant of COVID. Now, it's severely affected the local people around the mine because of the fact that, firstly, there's no food supplies coming up there delivered from Manila or anywhere else in the country. Most of them do grow vegetables themselves, so they do have food to eat in the form of vegetables, but they don't have much in the way of, vegetables don't grow overnight, and they don't have the protein, and they lack a lot of the basic vegetables. So, basic rice and etc. So we provided food packs for 200 families. Cost us about, just on $3,900 to supply 200 families with quite a large amount of food, and we received a lot of praise from the local people. We appeared in 3 local newspapers, and it was apparently read by the mayor of Baguio. So we're getting great political support out of it. We did receive some criticism on social media for providing food aid, and some investors did say we're not a charity, but the reality of the situation is, in any country you operate in, you do have to support the local community. And it's a condition of the exploration license for the Dangley project that 10% of the expenditure goes to the local community. And every mine we've been involved in, we're either building schools or hospitals, or helping feed the local or educate the local community. So 10% of the money which we spend on exploration has to go into the local community. So it's anticipated we could spend up to $500,000 over the next couple of years, and that we've got a resource there of 63,000 ounces. 25 to 30% of the actual area, which is 6.5 square kilometers of the Dangley license, has only been explored, and it's only been explored at the surface levels near the oxide, and the oxide cap has been drilled out. It's predicted, in accordance with a 43101 compliant exploration target, that there's a further 300,000 to 500,000 ounces under there. I believe it could be a lot harder if we do work, a lot larger if we do work over the entire property. And even the 63,000 ounces is worth more than $105 million, but in the ground. And it's very easy to mine because it's a simple oxide cap, and you can just scrape it off the surface. We need the support of the local people to get a mining license, and we also need the support of the government. And so the idea being that we'll do some more drilling work out there. It'd be great if we could get up to 1 million ounces, and then we're looking at somewhere in about $1.8 billion worth of gold in the ground, and then it substantiates putting some real investment into that project, and employing a lot of the local people, and creating a processing facility. Now, either ECR could do the whole lot, or potentially we could spin it off into a separate company. But it's a valuable asset, and we certainly want to keep hold of it.
Excellent. Well, Greg, we're only short on time, but just a couple more questions for you. Along with your sector peers, shares have traded flat for the past few months. So firstly, just to ask you about the funding position with the company following the property acquisitions. And secondly, what near-term value inflection points should shareholders be looking for?
Well, realistically, the company is, we've certainly got sufficient funding for quite a long time to go. We are looking at a few other things which will bring in cash fairly quickly to the company. As soon as we start processing some of those nuggets and mining down at Kreek, which we need a prospector's license for, then we should have certainly some income coming in, which will not just self-fund, but hopefully fund a lot of that exploration work which is going on over there, and it will fund hopefully the development of a mine. initially we were looking at JV partners, but because things have been going so well, if we can develop it ourselves, it would be far better if we just keep going. And as soon as we are in production, I think that's a major inflection point for the increase in value. Yeah. And although a lot of people say that when you're in production, the price often stagnates, but remember, we have a variety of properties. We have 2 issued licenses in Victoria. We have 6 license applications, and we have 3 license applications in Queensland. So we're at different stages of the mining life cycle or the exploration life cycle. And also we have a project in the Philippines. So there's a lot of upside to this company. The other thing which the directors have talked about and we're looking at is potential dual listings. And we're looking at both Toronto and the ASX for a secondary listing, and we're in discussions with various people at the moment. So I think that will certainly add a lot of additional value to the company as well. And if ECR shares could trade from from Sunday evening all the way through till Friday afternoon, I think that would create a lot more interest in the stock and a lot more liquidity. So that's the type of processes which we're examining at the moment, though no final decisions being made.
Super. Well, Kreek, it's great to see ECR evolving from explorer to land and license owner, and in the not too distant future to gold producer. Just remains for me to say, Kreek Brown, Chief Executive of ECR Minerals, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Alan.